Shalom, 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 Zion. You know, I'm going through this series on raising kings and queens. And of course, we're still going through the book of Proverbs. And one of the struggles that we're having on this side of the captivity, which is the time of the captivity is over, the greatest effect that this particular captivity had on us, that, let's just say, our previous captivities did not have on us, or at least not to this extent, is what captivity did to our thinking, what it did to our mind, what it did to the way we think and the way we see things and the way we interpret certain things. Almost everything that we do and the way we move as a people today, I would say maybe 90% or more of it is we move according to the dictates of what we received in slavery. We still have the slave mind, which is terrible. The slave mind, the slave mindset is not our mindset. That mindset was given to us by the European slavers. And the mindset of a slave, as far as the way a person thinks about himself, thinks about his family, thinks about whatever the value system that he received when he was a slave. That value system is then passed on, but it's a slave value system. And there's a big difference between the way free people think and value certain things and the way slaves do. And the reason is because with the slave mind, it is deprived. It operates on like this like survival mind, survival mentality, and it also has the slave thing has this. You feel like you have to be completely dependent on someone else to make a way for you, or to make your way, and therefore our priorities and our value systems are messed up. So Israel is not a slave. So you get the rhetorical question in the book of Jeremiah, where he says, is Judah a homeborn slave? It's a rhetorical question, which means the answer is no. The obvious answer to the question is no, you're not a slave. As a matter of fact, the fact that he talked about Judah is very interesting, because Judah literally is the king tribe. It's the tribe of where all the tribes are chosen. But of course we know that the tribe of Judah had the scepter. So the question is, the king, the kings and the queens, the royal house, they are supposed to, we are supposed to think a certain way. We're supposed to see things a certain way. And unfortunately, because, like I mentioned before, the damage of the main damage, the damage that's long lasting, coming out of captivity, the main damage that we received was obviously mental. And this is not a new thing, because people have always said, you know, the worst shackle is the shackle that's on the mind. You know, and you hear people say this all the time. We're free, And but what's the good use of freedom if we're still enslaved mentally? And you hear a lot of people use that, and it has become a cliche. So I'm not going to use that necessarily as a cliche, because I don't want to talk about it in the cliche way. I want to talk about it in a covenant way. See, the real danger and the real problem with those of us, the sons and daughters of the slave trade, the real problem with us is that when we were set free physically, of course, we weren't set free emotionally, weren't set free mentally, but we also were not set free in a way, or I should say, we didn't realize that our freedom was also supposed to be tied to our covenant. So what happened was this. Of course, everybody knows this statement too, and I just want to put this out. Everybody knows the whole thing about the Willie Lynch, whether it was FBI or whether it was original or whatever they did to us as a nation, it worked. And with all the fighting and all the division and then the value systems and everything, so messed up and so far away from that which is of true value that you can see the results. And part of the most famous thing about the letter is they said, if you implement this on these people, then long after, they will still be slaves, your servants, long after you've taken off the shackles and the fetters. You won't need them anymore. Okay, and so my question is, why was that true concerning us? I mean, why are we still living in these, I mean, we're still experiencing the results. I mean, now, like, why is that the case? And I wanna give you the answer in this quick video. The reason that our minds are still locked, and a lot of you guys go, no, Morey, don't say that. I have to tell you, it's because of Christianity. Now, I know many people are gonna click the video off. Oh, there you go. No, I want you to hear me. I know people used to say this in the past. They used to say, that's the white man's religion. That Bible is, it was just written to keep a brother down and all that. No, first of all, that's not. See, there's a difference between what was written in Torah and written in the scriptures and what the Christians, the slavers, taught you and taught us. And so, when you are not told, especially if you're royalty, when you are not told who you are, and you're not told whose you are, and you're not told about your covenant. See, you don't know that you're in a covenant with Yah. So Christianity never taught you personally that you are in a covenant with Yah. You are covenant people. So therefore, you never even sought the covenant to see what is in it for you, because you don't know. Most people don't even know they're in a covenant. Number two, they didn't tell you that you were the royal house of the line of the tribe of Yehuda. And we've already proven that in other videos, but that's something they never taught you. So the European slavers never, ever, ever, ever taught you that that you were Israel, number one, and Israelites, or of the house of Israel. I'll just use a more encompassing word. You didn't know that you were of the house of Israel, and you didn't know that you were in a covenant. So the two things that they didn't give you post-slavery, they didn't tell you post-slavery, were the two things you needed to free the mind. The two things you needed to take the shackles off the mind and the fetters off the brain, off the way you think and your heart. The things that you really needed, they didn't give it to you. They knew better. They said, look, if you're going to keep them in captivity, so watch this. I hear all of this and I'm gonna just use the term because for people to understand it. I hear all this black power, brown African, black power. Who know who you are, black power? We gotta unite, bro. We gotta unite. We gotta get together, bro. We're this thing, man. Bro, gotta get together, bro. All right, man. Listen, let me tell you something. We've been doing that ever since the Emancipation Proclamation. And why hasn't it worked? Because they're leaving. Because it leaves out the covenant. So, when we talk about, say like freedom, for instance, talk about true mental freedom. As a man thinks, that's as a man thinks. So you still think that you're a Gentile. You still think that you're just an African. You just think that you're just a son and daughter of slave. You just think that you're a Gentile, like I said earlier. And so your brain is not going to ever shift because you haven't read the covenant. So you don't know who you are. So therefore they can keep playing games with you. They can keep playing games with our women. They can keep playing games with our men. They can keep making us, or they can keep putting situations and circumstances in front of us that cause us to act a certain way or do certain things. And then they continue to promote really a slave mentality, where the value systems are all messed up. So when you think about like, why do we look at ourselves a certain way? It's because we're not looking at the covenant. And why do we act a certain way? It's because we don't know that we're in a covenant. And when I hear all these people talk about liberation and freedom and we need to be this and need to do that, and they keep wondering how come none of it ever works. One, Yah is not going to let it work until his people return to the covenant, until his people return to him, until they realize who they are and whose they are, according to Deuteronomy chapter 30, when they bethink themselves. When they think about who they are and remember, even in a foreign land, and turn to me. He's like, that's when I'm going to return. And so the reason for this video is, I mentioned this a couple videos ago, is that the first thing I want you all to understand, or trying to get the world to understand, is how important it is if we're going to walk in freedom and in power, walk in liberty, and walk as the set apart people of Yah. We really, and all of you who are waking up to the truth, understand this. We have to go to our covenant, because there's some things in that covenant that people don't want to tell you, but I'm gonna show them to you. It's not just the covenant, but there's some things in the covenant that no one is telling us about. And I'm gonna give you, I've already started talking about this in a previous video, but everybody looks at the covenant in the negative. They say, oh man, the covenant, you know what, just keeping the law. I know they're going to say, it's keep the law. First of all, keeping the law is not a negative. And you talking about the covenant, I know we will give y'all 1/10 of all that we have. So that's not a negative. We're supposed to support ministry. I know you're going more, right? Supporting the ministry is not a negative. Giving to help is not a negative. Feeding the poor is not a negative. Having a responsibility to love your brother and love your neighbor as yourself is not a negative. These are all positives. Having no other Elohim, God, before Yah is not a negative. So all of the positive, all of the laws are really positive. But there are some benefits to that covenant that the heathen never did want you to know. Does not want you to find out about who you are. Truly. And even if you say, well, I'm Israel, it goes deeper than Israel. No, more. It can't go deeper than that. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. That covenant goes to the right to rule the world. The right to rule the world is a part of the covenant. Okay, Moreh, you don't take that too far. Okay. Well, I'll show it to you. When I show it to you in the next couple of videos we're gonna make, you're gonna see that I'm not just talking. And by the way, so I don't leave you on a cliffhanger, it's gonna happen. That covenant is gonna be fulfilled. The question is whether or not you will be a part of that covenant or not. And what is your covenant? What is your relationship with the covenant? And what is your relationship with the author of the covenant? And the king of that covenant? Woo-wee. That's what really matters, but we'll talk about that on the next video. One love, Zion. Be strong. Keep shalom. One love. Support the work of the Ark if you can. Pray and ask Abba Yah. We're going to come back with another video and take this thought a little farther.